Up, sports geeks? It's your host Josh. You're back with another live stream. Today I'm joined by Alec yet again. Alec, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm not too bad, dude. I'll tell you what. So we, you just submitted your power rankings to me, and this is interesting because there's definitely some that whoops. There's definitely some that are there's some discrepancies between
Okay.
our two power rankings. So I'm gonna pull this up real quick. Okay, you can see this here, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So I have mine on the left there, yours in the middle, and then the average on the right. So it's sorted by the average. Um, but we'll kind of just start off going right through it, right? So we have a few. I think our top was very similar in that sense that we both had, the 49ers at one, which I think is pretty much a lock, right?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, just based off of how they've played, I think it's hard to put how hard to take it off of them. Best defense in the league. CMC's been unreal. Brock Purdy's playing really well. Obviously, you're a huge Brock Purdy fan, right? Do you think he could lead them to a Super Bowl, though?
Oh, I definitely think so. I mean, he's won every start where his elbow has not given out. He's won. So
Yeah. No,
I
that's
think
a
it's
fair
very
point. And so then I went Bills at two, and you went Eagles at two. You had the Bills at four after the Bills just walloped the Dolphins.
yeah.
Why do you have them down at four and not higher?
I think I have the Eagles at two. Just because, and I know just because you're undefeated doesn't mean that it's like the most important thing. But the Eagles are, I mean, they probably should have won the Super Bowl last year. They haven't really had that hangover of losing a Super Bowl. And I think if they play, I have a hard time putting the Bills at two just because of and I know it's last year. I know it's a new year, but I have a really hard time putting the Bills at two when I know that they've choked in the playoffs before.
Yeah.
I
Well,
guess it's just bias.
after week one, it was hard to put the Bills anywhere.
Yeah.
With how bad Josh Allen looked. I mean, you played against Zach Wilson the entire game and lost. That's awful. But after what they just did to the Dolphins they just walloped them. I mean, it was terrible. So I have them there too. And Eagles looked really rough against the Commanders. I mean,
Yeah, and I just think the difference is that they still scored 34,
yeah.
and if that's going to be a bad game and you're scoring 34, then I'm fine with that.
Well, I think the issue that arises out of that is that you gave up 27 to Washington to Sam Howell.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
if you're gonna let
right after Sam Howell threw 4 picks against the Bills, so
exactly, yeah, exactly. So that's kind of my concern with the Eagles, but not that I'm worried about them, but I just have the Bills higher than them in that sense. But I mean, going through this though, Chiefs are both in the same range. You had them at three, I had them at four. You just had them above the Bills, and I did not. Dolphins, I had five. You had six. You had the Cowboys at five. I had the Lions at six, and you had the Lions at eight. So you had the Ravens and Cowboys above the Lions. I had the Lions above both of those. Obviously, I'm a Lions fan. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the thing, kind of like the Bengals 2 years ago, where you kind of have to, like, for some franchises, I feel like as a Bengals fan and a Lion fan, you kind of know this. You kind of need a little more proof and a little more longevity before you give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And I think that the Lions win last week was unbelievable. I think I'll put the Lions above both of them this week if they take care of business in a game that they definitely should take care of business in.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. My issue, the positive thing with Detroit is last year we saw a run defense that was bottom three in the league. I mean, absolutely horrendous. And we didn't add anybody to our front seven. But, I mean, you added Campbell, right? But, you didn't add any. You didn't go get any stars. You didn't draft a defensive lineman. And you have the best rushing defense in the league right now. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
It's impressive. And do you remember what happened last year when we played Carolina as well? When Carolina ran for 320 yards on us.
Oh, they're still running from last year.
Yes, it was awful. So that's my thing is I'm hoping that we see a bounce back game for Detroit against Carolina, and we can actually get a W here. But I mean, in all honesty, that Carolina game's kind of screwed us last year. Like we were.
Oh, I mean, Deontay Foreman last year ran for like how much, like 220? It was something crazy.
Yes, dude, he had like 150 at halftime. Like,
yeah, I know. I remember that game because I remember I had last year I had the Bucks to win the NFC South, and I was like, all right, if all the Lions had to do was just beat the Panthers, then they'd be dead.
Yeah.
And then I see I'm in Florida, and I see Deontay Foreman literally ran for like 150 somehow. I'm like, oh my god, you have to be kidding me.
Yeah, dude, that was bad. As a Lions fan, I'm like, dude, we're streaking. Like the playoffs are very possible. Like we've been beating good teams. Come on now, like we got the Panthers here. Let's go. And I mean, we just came out and looked awful. But this year it looks a lot better. Goff. The other thing that's positive for me is that the last 3 games, Goff has thrown an interception in all 3 of them, and we're 2-1 in those games, and probably should have beat the Seahawks. Like, he's not going to continue to throw interceptions. Like, he's not. Like, that's one of his best traits is that if actually takes.
No, I mean he absolutely.
Like, so when we're not turning the ball over,
he's one of those quarterbacks where it's like he's never going to throw more than 10 to 11 a year, and he's already gotten some out of the way.
Yes, exactly. So, and now you add Jameson Williams back into the offense. I think it's going to be fun to see that. But kind of going through these power rankings yet, we have the Ravens you had up at 7 after an impressive win against the Browns, but it was against DTR, right? And so how good is that offense with DTR? But either way, it was an impressive win. Do you think they're the I think they're the favorite to win the AFC North right now, the Ravens. And how far do you think that they could go, though? Oh boy, I might have lost you. Yep, we lost Alec there.
Oh, we're so back.
There we go. We are back. All right. So, we're talking about the Ravens here. So, favorite to win the AFC North. Obviously, the issue with the Ravens every year is how injured they are, right? I mean, their IR list is like the longest in the NFL, year in, year out. If they stay generally healthy, right? Obviously, you're gonna have your small injuries. Generally healthy from here on out. Do you think they can make a run to the Super Bowl or no?
Oh, I mean, I kind of want it as a Bengals fan. It's hard for me to say that, but I kind of want to see them with Lamar in the playoffs. Just to see what happens because their defense is really good. The coaching's really good. It'd be interesting to see their team with Lamar in the playoffs and not have to use Tyler Huntley for the 3rd year in a row.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you look back at like last year, even they competed with the Bengals, nearly beat the Bengals.
They should have 100%.
And with Tyler Huntley playing quarterback, I mean, yeah, I completely agree with you that seeing Lamar Jackson, and as a football fan, you want to see the best players compete at the biggest stages, right? So seeing Lamar Jackson compete at the biggest stage is what you want to see, whether you're a Bengals fan or Ravens fan, whatever it is, right? So they look really good so far, though. They look really good. Outside of their one loss, right? They lost to the who did they lose to? Somebody bad. And I'm drawing a blank. I'm looking it up real quick.
Yeah.
They lost to Indy. They lost to the Colts, dude, in week 3.
You think Indy's pretty bad?
At the time, I think that what you had then, yes, because it was against Gardner Minshew. I think, it was against Gardner Minshew. So I don't think that team's good with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. But I will say, looking at my power rankings, I have the Colts in here at 16. You have them at 18. We have them flirting with that upper half of the league. Jonathan Taylor is a full participant, in practice today. However, he did say he doesn't want to play for the Colts. What do you think the fantasy outlook is on that?
That's tough. I have Jonathan Taylor in a lot of leagues. I kind of bought him low because I thought that if your team, at the end of the fantasy year, he was going in the 6th, 7th round.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of crazy. I thought it was a little overreaction just because Jonathan Taylor, if he plays, is a top 4 to 5 fantasy running back. And if he plays this week, I mean, he was a potential league winner if you got him past round 5.
Yeah, well, the other thing, too, is that if you look at Jonathan Taylor the last few years, 2 years ago, obviously, wonderful. Last year was all right at best. But that's with, Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan as his quarterback. You know what I mean?
You also have to think that him having Anthony Richardson only helps him.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying, is that having Richardson, somebody that, every inside zone, outside zone you run from the shotgun is a threat to keep the ball. It just makes the defense have to respect A-Rich so that the holes for JT are just so much more open.
And let's think about that here. Like the Colts O-line last year it was like the same group. They played extremely bad. Mm-hmm. And also last year, it was like he had that bum ankle, but in every healthy game he played, he still averaged over 80 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Even with a bad.
And the other thing too is that if you look at typical rookie quarterbacks coming into the league, if you look at their favorite receiver, typically one of their favorite receivers is a running back. So when JT, if he decides to play for the Colts, right? If he decides to come in and play, he's going to be good. All right, we got one here. Derrick Henry and DJ Moore for Swift and Ridley. I would want to be on Swift and Ridley's side 1,000,000%. That's just me. What about you, Alec?
Yeah, if it's full PPR for sure. Swift and Ridley. I think that Derrick Henry, if you're trading him, this week would be a great week, just because he had a great week last week, and points are kind of inflated because of that passing touchdown. So it'd be a good week.
Yeah, I think that what you just saw out of Derrick Henry is not going to be consistent throughout the year. So
just because that Titans offense is anemic, you just don't know when they're going to go off.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, they put up 30 some points.
Yeah, I think it was 27.
27. I mean, that Titans offense will average 17 points at best this season. Yeah. So them putting up 27 points, sell Derrick Henry at that point. And Swift, and you're kind of buying low on Ridley, I think, too. After week 1, he really hasn't done much of anything. I mean, he had a touchdown last week, right? But he hasn't done much of anything.
Are you pro Ridley?
I tell you what, I was. I'm a little bit concerned about his workload because, I mean, we've seen Zay Jones is out and he's still not – he's only getting that 3 to 5 receptions range, which is just scary to me. When Zay Jones is back, how many are you going to get? Because T-Law loves Zay Jones. So that's a little bit of my concern. But in all honesty, I think that the Swift and Henry are kind of just interchangeable, in my opinion, for fantasy value. Because Henry's just in a significantly worse situation. And then DJ Moore and Ridley, I'd probably rather have Ridley just because I don't want to do with that Bears passing attack, no matter what they did last week.
Yeah, I agree. You're basically trading 2 similar people in each one, but you're getting the 2 people that have a better offense.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're trading 2 people out from bad offenses for 2 people with good offenses. Yep. And both of them are the primary option in those good offenses too. Ridley's definitely the best receiver on that team. Whether he's getting the volume, like it or not, he's still the best receiver. But speaking of the Jaguars here, let's bounce over to them. I had him at 11. You had him at 9. So you had him breaking into the top 10. What's kind of holding them back in your opinion? Because we saw T-Law kind of go off at the end of last season, right? And Christian Kirk and Zay Jones were doing really well. Evan Ingram had a great season. ETN started to come on really strong at the end. And you add Calvin Ridley into this offense, and the offense seems to have gotten worse.
Yeah, I think the thing that's different about the Jags this year is Trevor Lawrence just isn't really playing that well.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know what it is. What do you think?
See, that's the thing that I just am confused about, because like this offense, nothing changed. Same head coach, same OC, like same quarterback. That's young and improving. Every single step he's made in his career has been like inclining, right? His play's been getting better and everything until now. And I don't know if it's maybe just, a couple of matchups he didn't play well, a couple bad games. I don't know what it is. Fortunately for them, they're in a terrible division and they're 2-2. So you're tied for the lead in the division. Really, if JT comes back and plays for the Colts could win this division. They have a very solid defense, rookie quarterback that's improving, stud of a running back. But realistically, I think the Jaguars are the only team that can win this division and can do anything in playoffs. I think Jaguars are lucky that their division's trash, in my opinion, because they've started the season very poorly.
I mean, I think the Jags could finish this at 9-8 and still be fine.
Yes. Well, you look at the rest of their division. The rest of their division is going to be like, I mean, I could see the Colts ceiling if JT even comes back and plays, which I doubt he plays for them. I could see them going 8-9 at best, probably. I mean, I don't see the Texans really continuing this very much longer, right? CJ Stroud's been playing really well. Let's not take any credit away from him, but he is a rookie quarterback. He's going to make his mistakes at some point, right? And his receiving core is not good. I mean, Tank Dell and Nico Collins are playing well, but those guys are not great. You know what I mean?
You're not a fan of Tank Dell.
No, look, I mean, he's going to be good, but he's not good. Like,
what about Nico?
He's good.
Do you believe in the Nico hype?
Fantasy-wise, absolutely. Fantasy football, I'm all in on the Nico hype. But in football terms, when you play teams that can lock down, teams that are playing against like Devontae Adams, teams that are playing against Jamar Chase, like a corner that plays Jamar Chase one week and goes and plays Nico Collins the next week is thrilled that he lines up against Nico Collins every single down. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So not that they're bad receivers by any means. They're great fantasy receivers. I'm buying stock on them in that sense. And then 3 years down the line, they might be great receivers. But right now, this is a receiving core that is not something that over the entire course of a season I can like deal with. You know what I mean? And I think is going to be able to like help this team. Now, also, they have a terrible offensive line. At some point, that's going to hurt them. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're not going to be able to technically pull off an upset every week. I don't think. No. Maybe they'll become the favorites. I don't know. I just don't know if Vegas turns on them and kind of sees that. You can kind of still see that Vegas doesn't really trust them yet.
Yeah, no, and I understand why you don't too, because CJ Stroud hasn't thrown a pick yet, right? Very, very good for him. But at some point he's going to, right? Every rookie makes mistakes. He's going to make his mistakes at some point. But I mean, looking at the rest of the division, though, so you have the Colts. Maybe they can be all right, right? The Texans, I don't think are going to do much, and the Titans are just bad. Like they beat the Bengals really by a ton, but they've been terrible in every other game they've played so far this season. So
yeah, if I had to go out on a limb and say that the Titans won last week, but that was mainly all that was on the Bengals last week. The Bengals lost that more than the Titans. Like, I mean, because the Titans aren't very good.
No, I mean
not that hard to see.
Ryan Tannehill is a bad quarterback.
Yeah,
he's a bottom 5 quarterback in the league, and you guys made him look like he was like prime
for sure.
Manning. Like
absolutely.
So no, I don't. The Jaguars are lucky their division is trash. But we'll kind of keep moving down here. We have the Chargers in here, breaking in at the 10 spot. Where do you think what are you concerned about with the Chargers? Because this team is very inconsistent. And is that why they're not kind of breaking into this top 5 because they have an uber talented team.
Oh, I mean, their team is like a top 6 team on paper easily.
Easy.
The problem I have with their team is that one, Kalumak, I know he had 6 sacks last week. One of the greatest performances ever that we will ever see in our lifetime. The record's 7, right? By Derek Thomas, I think.
I thought he tied the record, but maybe he did not.
Anyway, yeah. So
it's 6.
It's 6.
Oh no! Derek Thomas had 7 in a game.
Okay,
yes.
that's what I thought. Okay. Either way, that's insane. But
yes.
I think the problem with the Chargers is that, yeah, you're right. You said it. They're inconsistent. They lost Mike Williams, so they're number 2. Their clear-cut number 2 guy's gone. I think Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston will be fine to fill in that, like, those targets wherever that comes. Eckler coming back's huge. Josh Kelly's really bad. And we've seen that. But
he's a great backup running back.
For sure, absolutely. But there's so many of those in the NFL.
Yes.
There's not a lot of good starters, like not a lot of good guys that can be a bell cow.
Yes.
But yeah, so I think the problem with the Chargers is coaching. I know Kellen Moore's there. I think Kellen Moore's a good play caller. They're throwing for yards. I just don't like Brandon Staley. I don't trust him. But they went for another 4th down. I didn't get it. I mean, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
I made a joke. I'm like, dude, like, I think Brandon Staley has like probably like a gambling problem. Like, I think he bets his whole year's salary like repeatedly every single day because that's what it seems like he's doing now.
Well, and I'll watch the Lions play and I'm like, oh, Dan Campbell has balls. You know what I mean? Like he's like, sometimes I don't like it, but he's got balls. Brandon Staley has like stupid balls. Like,
okay, here's the thing though. If it's so stupid to do, is it really having balls though?
Yeah, exactly. That's a fair point.
Like, it's like to the point where it's like, dude, like, you're up 7 against a rookie quarterback. Why are you? I mean, I guess he did it against Kirk Cousins, so he's going to do it against Aiden O'Connell. But like, dude, you're up 7.
Yes. Like, I don't understand. And like last year, like, let's not forget about what he did in the playoffs last year, right? And he goes in and is up 27-3, right, against the Jaguars and blows the lead. Like, how many mistakes is Brandon Staley going to get? You know what I mean? If you put Brandon Staley in the Bears organization, he'd be fired right now, already, easy, because you'd see the lack of coaching. You'd see his inability to coach so much easier because he doesn't have Justin Herbert as a quarterback. He doesn't have Keenan Allen. He doesn't have a defensive line that has Khalil Mack, right? And a Bosa brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and their linebackers are good. They got Eric Kendricks.
Mm-hmm.
And they have Kenneth Murray. Kenneth Murray has been playing very well, but
yeah. So like Brandon Staley, I think he's fortunate that they've won back-to-back weeks because I think if they were lost to the Vikings and go 0-3, I think he gets fired. And I think that was going to be like an easy decision, and he should have already been fired, in my opinion. But we'll keep moving down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll keep moving down here. So kind of looking at this, 11 through 12 range, we have or 11 through 15 range. We have the Browns in there, Packers in there, and then we got the Bucks. The Colts, Texans, we already talked about. Let's go Browns, Packers, Bucks, Rams, though. Kind of just talk about them here. So obviously Cooper Kupp's about to come back. He isn't back yet. All right, here we go. We got a trade. What up, Kraus? Got another offer me. Zay Jones, Kyler Murray for Jonathan Taylor. Should he be banned from offering trades for life? Yes. Kraus, kick him out of the league.
Yeah, he should be banned.
Hey, I mean, in all honesty, though, you got to look. You're getting a great piece this week in Kyler Murray. He's going to come out and ball out for you on your injured reserve spot. And Zay Jones is a wide receiver 3 on his own team. So, yeah, I mean, you're trading a wide receiver 3.
Also, Zay Jones play.
Yeah. Yeah, Kraus, kick him out of the league. That's bad, dude. So the Browns just got walloped by the Ravens. We talked about the Ravens. That makes them look really good, right? But without Deshaun Watson, no matter how big of a fan you are of him, this team is significantly better with him in there, right? The defense is unreal, and I think the defense is what could carry the Browns to a playoff spot this year. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think DTR, it wasn't really a fair start. Like,
No.
he didn't know he was really starting until about 90 minutes before the game. And psychologically, I don't think that was very fair to him to kind of thrust him into that spot. He looked really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and I know it's hard to play quarterback in the NFL, but like, he looked like he looked way worse than Zach Wilson has looked, and that's like saying a lot.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think the Browns are a good team. If that offense could click, they're a top 6 team. I think. You know what I mean?
Their defense is a top 3 defense in the league.
And Myles Garrett was seen leaving with a boot on, but Kevin Stefanski said, I think Monday or yesterday that he's going to be fine. So that would have been a big blow for them, but I don't think he's going to miss any time because they have a bye week this week.
Yeah, so you keep your defense healthy, especially your big pieces there, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, right? You're going to be fine. And this defense can single-handedly win you games. We saw it earlier in the season, right? We saw it against the Bengals, right? I mean, offense played terrible that game. Defense single-handedly won it for them. So, I mean, if that offense clicks, which they have the pieces to, right? I mean, you have Amari Cooper, who's a very solid wide receiver 1, and Njoku's not a bad tight end. Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt's not a bad backfield. And you have a quarterback that, let's not forget, 3 to 4 years ago was like a top 3 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
So,
it's tough for me on the Deshaun Watson thing. It's like I want the best players to be good, but it's also hard to root for that guy. So,
yes,
it would be awesome to see him return to that form in like a vacuum. But
yes,
as a person who has feelings, I'm not really sure about that.
Yes. I'm with you there. It's hard to root for the guy after what he's done. But if he is able to turn it around, this Browns team is going to be dangerous in the playoffs because we saw how good he was with a Texans team that was awful, a bad defense, bad offensive line. All he had was DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller.
That Texans team is like a fourth as good as this Browns team.
Yes.
Like,
would you trade Pollard? All right. Would you trade Pollard and George Kittle for ETN and Eckler? He has Laporta.
Yeah.
I would say yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I think that in that deal, honestly, and this sounds crazy, I think Laporta is probably maybe a little better than Kittle long-term this season, just because the 49ers have so many weapons. I think it's only a matter of time till they're pretty good, and if George Kittle gets a little injury, they might just like sit him out a couple times.
Yeah.
That's usually what happens. Like it's happened the last couple of years. And ETN, to me, he still gets all the utilization. Like he's in on. I mean, they have nobody behind. Even though he had a bad week last week, they have nobody behind him that is going to push for touches.
No, Tank Bigsby's a rookie, and you're not going to give him a ton of touches this first year.
Wait, so is this from Ray?
Yeah.
Okay, so if he could text, if you should, what's your record? Because Eckler has a bye. So if you're like pretty good and you can wait 1 week, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah. In all honesty, I think even if you can't wait a week, this should be. I would accept this because you're maybe giving away 1 week, but you're getting. You have Laporta. You're probably playing Laporta over Kittle this week, anyways. Yeah. So you're gonna play, ETN this week, right? Over ETN will replace your Pollard, and then you have Eckler the following week. Yeah. So in all honesty, I would take it. He's 2-2. I would take it.
Yep, take it.
Yep, I would be on the ETN and Eckler side that entire time. That is a huge win for you. I was trying to trade for Laporta in a few leagues, dude. That's a lot. It is. Well, and I'm in a few leagues with my other buddy that's a Lions fan, and he has him in like every single league. So it's like, all right, I'm not gonna get him.
Well, honestly, if we're being honest, Sam Laporta is probably a top 5 option now.
Yeah.
Tight ends are bad.
Yeah. Well, you're Kelsey, you're Andrews, you're Kelsey, Andrews.
Ingram.
And Ingram, right?
That's 3, really.
But like Pitts has been terrible. Kittle really hasn't done much.
Waller is awful.
Yep. And Laporta's leading all tight ends right now in receiving yards. So it's like, Now, Jameson Williams coming back in the offense, who knows how much work he's going to get. But Jameis is that big ball, that deep ball receiver,
talk about
that 4 to 5 catches a game. You know what I mean? Not like an 8 to 10.
Yeah, he's not an Amon Ra. Like,
No.
but like so for Williams, will he eventually take over the Josh Reynolds snaps? You think?
I think he will. I think right away he's going to hop into the like Khalif Raymond, the Marvin Jones. Like immediately he's taking those snaps. Like it's not even a question. But I think that Josh Reynolds is going to slowly be. I think it just probably balanced between the two. In all honesty, Reynolds has played great this year, so I feel like it's kind of wrong to say, hey, this first round receiver we drafted 2 years ago who hasn't done anything to really prove himself, we're just going to throw in and he's going to take your snaps. But the second Reynolds has a drop or isn't, or JMO starts to perform really well, I think he'll take over the snaps. I think by the end of the season, it's Reynolds as the wide receiver 3 and JMO as the wide receiver 2 on the offense.
I hope so. I want JMO to be good. Just because I mean he was so good in college. So good.
He was a rare breed in college that was like a lot of times like Jalen Hyatt, unreal speed, right? Same type of like just breakaway speed that JMO has. But in college, he was like all he's running is deep balls, right? All he's running is streaks. But JMO was running like a slant. He's running, hitch routes. He's running out routes. Every route was in his bag. And he was a dog at all, like great route runner while having that, insane speed. Somebody offered him Aaron Jones and Laporta for Achane. Would you take, or Achane, sorry. Also 2-2 in that league. Who is your tight end? Who's your tight end in that league?
Yeah, I'm saying no to that. Just because you're going to get the RB1 in a top two or three offense in the NFL. Also, I do have a hot take about Achane, though. He's eventually going to not score 2 touchdowns on eight opportunities every week.
See, that's my thing is that the touchdowns are unreal right now, right? And
yeah,
it makes him look really
the negative regression has to come.
He also has Kittle in that league. In all honesty, because Kittle's such a big name, I would say almost maybe even try and pair Achane with Kittle and then ask for, I don't know if he has a better running back than Aaron Jones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like just somebody that's not I guess Aaron Jones is pretty injury prone too. So I'd be kind of nervous about that.
Yeah. I don't know who your running backs are, but like running backs depth as well. Like if Achane's your third running back on your team and you're going to get Aaron Jones to be your RB3, maybe you don't need that. You'd rather just have the home run hitter at Achane and let him sit there for maybe 2 more weeks and play him a few. I don't know. It's kind of I'm torn on that one. I'm really torn on that one.
Yeah, that's a hard one for me. Just because I don't really know if like Achane's going to continue this. It's just so hard because that's just the way it is with rookie running backs. I mean, some pop for 2-3 weeks and then boom, it's a hamstring thing or like you just never know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do we think you can get with Pollard and Nico Collins? You're talking like who can you get if you were to trade him? I'm assuming. I mean, you should be getting a wide receiver or a running back 1 and a wide receiver 2 at worst, right?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, if you're going to trade Pollard and Nico, I mean, we've seen Nico, and you were talking about this earlier, like regular wide receiver wise, don't know if he's good, but fantasy, he's great. So yes. I think you could really get that sounds like I think Pollard's like a top 4 running back though in PPR. So I don't really know.
Yeah, I think if you're giving up Pollard and Nico, you should be getting a wide receiver 1 and a running back 1.
You think both?
I think if you're like, I mean, Pollard is a high end.
When you say RB1, do you mean like you could get?
I mean like a top 12 running back,
like an ETN, and a Waddle at the same time.
Yes, that's kind of that range that I would be looking at, or like a Garrett Wilson and like even like a Ramondre. Maybe.
Okay, funny you bring up Garrett Wilson. Are you in or out?
I'm in on him.
You're in. Okay.
I'm buying an insane amount of stock of Garrett Wilson right now.
Just because of how good Zach Wilson looked?
Yeah, I mean, Zach Wilson's a top 3 quarterback in the league. He's got a better quarterback rating than Joe Burrow. So
Are you a Swiftie? Because if you're a Swiftie, you'd think that Zach Wilson's better than Mahomes.
I mean, he is. Find me one time where Mahomes has outdueled Zach Wilson.
Hey, he's the first guy. Did you see that stat? It was like all over Twitter. It was like,
yeah, they love to just
they love to
Mahomes,
do those random ESPN stats where it's like he's the only player to, I was just like, it's like, dude, what?
Yeah. Ray, I would say don't worry about Jeff Wilson coming back. I think it's A-Chain's backfield. I think he already won that over. So Jeff Wilson, they're going to ease him back from injury at best too. So I wouldn't.
Yeah, he's not. They didn't open his window today. So to practice,
I would for A-Chan and Nico for Garrett Wilson. I would not trade that though. Oh man, I don't know because Garrett Wilson. I think about Garrett Wilson, and this is my logic behind buying all this stock. Right, first week with Zach Wilson, first full week with Zach Wilson, 9 targets, 2 catches. Next week, 9 targets, 5 catches. This past week, he had 15 targets and 10 catches. Like,
yeah, it's tough because it's just the roller coaster.
Chemistry with Zach Wilson, right? And I understand Zach Wilson played better than he typically has this past week, but this offense has nobody else that's going to consistently demand targets. So if Zach Wilson's going to throw the ball 25 to 30 times, which he's going to have to because they're going to be losing in games, Garrett Wilson's going to get 12 to 15 of those targets like a game. And also what I saw too is that it appeared that it was a lot less of like, let's get Garrett Wilson the ball downfield. It was like, let's just get him the ball, right? I don't care if it's a 6-yard out route. Just get him the ball. Let him create. And if you're going to do that, dude, we could be looking at like a Deontay Johnson from 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Where he's got just a boatload of interceptions and like touchdowns really aren't coming, but in PPR, it really doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I could definitely see that. I think the difference between if he would have had if he had Rodgers, he could have finished as the wide receiver 1. Like that was the feeling. But now I think you're right. It's more like wide receiver 8 or like a back end wide receiver 1. And that's still very quality to have.
Well, now you might also you can get them at a lot cheaper of a price. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
People are willing to just get rid of him because they're like, oh, he's got Zach Wilson as a quarterback. I don't want him. Whereas, I mean, he's still going to have plenty of targets. Still a wide receiver 1 in that offense.
Yeah.
So here we go. Starting RBs are Tony, Pollard, Kamara, Swift. Starting wide receivers are Diggs and Nico. So you have he's looking for a wide receiver too because he has A-Chain on his bench. You have Pollard, Kamara, and Swift, dude. I think that
how many teams is this?
Yeah, in all honesty, dude, A-Chan and Nico for Garrett Wilson isn't a bad idea then in this situation.
You think both?
I would try to get, if you're giving up A-Chan and Nico for Garrett Wilson, I would try to get some sort of like something else out of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would try at the beginning if you just try A-Chan for Wilson and see if they do it.
Yeah. Or Nico for, I'd say try to figure out which one he'd prefer and take either of those. But, I mean, that's a core of a running back there, dude. Pollard, Kamara, and Swift. I wonder what your record is because that core, obviously Kamara just came back, right? But I would assume going forward, you're going to be unreal. Thielen and Pollard for Breece and A.J. Brown, absolutely, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Alec,
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. I'm buying stock on Breece Hall. They just came out today and said that he's not going to have any more touches.
Oh, I'm all in. I'm all in on every league.
Yep. So Thielen's been good so far, right? But he's a rookie quarterback. And Thielen's old, right? I mean, touchdowns. I don't know how. Yeah, no. I don't mind him. But if you're looking at Thielen compared to A.J. Brown is a huge difference. Pollard to Breece Hall, as of right now, throughout the season, has been a pretty big difference, but I don't think it's going to remain that way.
I think the targets could remain, but not the touchdowns and really the yards, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Bob Dude's 2-2 with that team. That's going to be a nice team come.
Week 10, week 11.
Yeah, come playoff time. That's going to be a dangerous team.
Yeah,
that's a league-winning team there. Dude. I mean,
I'm smashing because here's the thing though.
Smashing what?
No,
the accept button.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you were talking about Breece Hall or what you were talking about.
Yeah. Sorry, Thielen and Pollard for Breece and AJ Brown.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
No, just because I think here's the thing, like AJ Brown is really good. I mean, he's gotten a 33% target share. Like he's getting a third of the targets on a team that the offense is great, even though they don't pass. Sometimes some weeks they don't pass that much, but he's definitely the alpha there, even with Devontae Smith. So. And Breece might be just as good as Pollard, like down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is that like Pollard's had a really, really good like touchdown run here, like kind of just like A-Chain, right? He's had a good amount of touchdowns, good amount of receptions. Breece Hall has not yet. I mean, I think he has 0 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
So when he gets his touchdowns, his weeks are just gonna, fly through the roof. So, yeah, I would take that. And AJ Brown, and he had a rough start to the season, and ever since he bitched out Jalen Hurts on the sideline, he's been unreal. You know what I mean?
I also think that the Breece Hall thing, like Dalvin Cook he's washed.
Yes.
Did you see that? There's this tweet. I don't know if anybody's seen it. It was like, the most yards per carry with 50 or more rushes is Breece Hall, and the least yards per carry with 50 or more rushes is Dalvin Cook. So it's like funny. Yin and yang on like one team.
Yeah. Speaking of rushes, that just brought up a good point that I want to talk about. Jahmyr Gibbs, 39 carries through 4 games, getting a lot of the Lions front office getting a lot of hate, right, of how much they're using him. Christian McCaffrey's rookie season, guess how many carries he had through 4 games?
I'm going to go like 40.
31.
Okay.
So less carries than Jahmyr Gibbs. So that's my kind of thought process is Jahmyr Gibbs will have numbers that are going to increase throughout the season, right? And he's absurdly productive. And they're using him a ton in the passing game. So if you could buy stock on him, he should have been drafted where it was. It was very early for every year we see that with rookie running backs. You know what I mean?
Well, also there's also a trend, or it was a chart I saw. Every running back that's been picked in the top 12, even like Trent Richardson in the past like 10 years, has finished as like running back like 15 or better. So it was kind of like a no-brainer for Gibbs to go that high, just because of like recent history. But I think the difference is I think what could happen, and I think probably will happen, if David Montgomery keeps getting 25 carries a game, his body's going to be shot. So Jahmyr Gibbs could be one of those guys, kind of like Amon-Ra was, where week 13 through 17, he wins you your league, just because of sheer volume.
Yes. And we've already seen Demont battle some injury. You know what I mean? Battles of thigh injury in week 3.
And we saw that Gibbs had 17 carries?
Yeah. And averaged 5 yards of carries, 80 plus yards. I mean, he wasn't using the passing game that week, so that was finally you got the volume, and you didn't get the catches. So if you're in a PPR format, but no, dude, I'm acquiring Gibbs in leagues over the next 3 weeks if you can, because end of the season, it depends. It depends on your team. I should say that, because if you're in a league where you're 1-3. Maybe don't go buy Gibbs right now because you need to win now. If you're in a league where you're 3-1, 4-0, dude, looking at getting him because, looking at your team, how can you add a piece that in weeks 14 through 17 can win a playoff game for you?
Yeah,
Gibbs is one of those pieces.
I have a couple guys that and to kind of throw out some names who I would trade for Gibbs, and this kind of might sound a little crazy, but I think I would trade Joe Mixon for Jahmyr Gibbs.
Ramondre Stevenson.
I think at this point I would take Ramondre plus something.
Probably.
But I think it would still be worth it, like a wideout on your bench. Trying to think who else here. Damian Pierce, if somebody would do that, I think that's pretty easy. Anybody that's kind of in the same range, if they have a big week, if they have a blow-up game, say Damian Pierce goes off for 30 points this week.
Yeah.
Trade Pierce for Gibbs. You just need to.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm completely with you there. Gibbs will be good, dude. He will be good. I think the point you made about his the Amon-Ra situation is very good. when it gets to the end of the season, his volume is going to be increasing. And that's somebody that like can win you playoff games, like I said. So kind of looking at the rest of these teams, the fantasy impact of a few guys coming off of the IR. Cooper Kupp's coming off of the IR here. Maybe not this week. If not this week, definitely in week 5. How many targets / receptions do you think Puka remains with? Because Puka has been really good, but he's also the same exact receiver as Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp,
This is tough.
what I mean?
Yeah, this is tough. Okay, so I have Puka and Cooper Kupp in actually probably 3 leagues. Like I have both of them. And what I've been struggling with is
Etienne and Judy for Wilson.
Yeah, I would do that. I would do that.
Yeah, I like it.
What I've been struggling with Puka is it's insanity. It's literally like if Cooper Kupp was playing.
Yeah.
So it's hard because nobody's ever done this before, but also at the same time, like, is it the system? You know what I mean? Like, is it just, but is it just like Sean McVay? But also the difference is like, I don't know. We've seen guys in Sean McVay's system, like Robert Woods never took this step. Josh Reynolds never took that step. Like the same guys in the same roles. So I think Puka's very talented. Cooper Kupp will be the alpha. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And my thing is that repetitively, this offense has had 2 good receivers, right? Mm-hmm. You had Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. You had Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson. And only one of them is fantasy relevant every time. And the one that's fantasy relevant is huge ceiling wide receiver 1 relevant. But the one that's not is like, a fringe flex play if you have injuries and bye weeks. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I will say that Puka is really the first one he's the exact same player as Cooper Kupp, right? He's going to get open for 8. That's all he wants is get open for 8, get open for 12, get open for 6, and get 10 plus catches a game. I could see it kind of working out. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they both play, because I will say from a defensive perspective, it's going to be hard to guard Puka and Cooper Kupp and prevent them from getting 8 yards consistently.
Yeah, I think Puka is more of the role. You're right. Puka reminds me of more like Cooper Kupp, obviously same team, or like remember when Michael Thomas would catch 130 balls a year?
Yeah,
like it's kind of like that role. You're right, where it's a lot of drags, it's a lot of crossers. I mean, how many crossing routes? I want to know the amount of crossing routes that Puka has caught balls on this year. It's probably like 50% of his balls, just against man coverage. So it's kind of crazy. Like, I'm really excited to see them both on the same field because Puka doesn't play like I saw like a utilization report. Puka's playing more on the outside, and Cooper Kupp was playing more in the slot last year and the year before. So I think they can both play. I think they can both get targets at the same time. With the one guy, and that we're not really talking about for fantasy value. If Matthew Stafford could stay healthy, he could finish as a top. Remember, he finished as a top 5 QB in 2021 for fantasy.
Yep.
I think he could, if he's on your waiver wire, like go pick him up. Like if you're struggling with like a Daniel Jones, like Matt Stafford is a real option.
Yes, if you drafted Daniel Jones or Aaron Rodgers or even like A-Rich, pick up Stafford because A-Rich probably is going to miss another game or 2 over the course of the season because of injury, right? Because he loves to just get hit. But I mean, look at the passing attempts this season: 38, 55, 33, 40. And that's without Cooper Kupp. That's for Stafford. Like he's slinging the ball.
Also without any touchdowns yet.
Yes. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns through 4 games. So realistically, you're going to have positive regression on the touchdowns and the volume is there. Oh. Yeah. Computer's glitching out there.
Is it?
But either way, I don't know. But either way, I think Stafford is going to be good, right? And this Rams offense could be good, dude. I mean, they're without the all-star. They're without the all-star running back Cam Akers now. I mean, top 3 running back in the league, if we're being honest.
Kyron's actually really good. I wonder how long he'll be able to hold up, though.
Yeah, we talked about that last week too, right?
Yeah.
Is that when you have somebody playing every single snap, especially at the running back role, how long are you healthy? Because he's taking a lot of hits too.
Yeah, they have the greatest. Ronnie Rivers is like the greatest backup running back name ever.
Ronnie Rivers. That's like a bad created name.
Yeah, it's like
you're scanning through like the scouting for like the next draft, and it's the auto generated Ronnie Rivers.
And he's from like where's it's like where did Austin Eckler go to college? Like that school in Colorado, Western Colorado, or just like somewhere so random.
Yeah, New Mexico State.
Yeah. Hey, New Mexico State, dude, they made a couple of March Madness runs in the last like 10 years. And by a couple, I mean one. So
yeah, I was gonna say, but that has nothing to do with football, so that doesn't help there. But anyway, this has been a good chat about some fantasy football, about some NFL power rankings. We'll do more every Wednesday. We'll have a live stream. Maybe every Friday. We're going to start looking into that because Fridays could be fun with some waiver wire, or not waiver wire, but some start sits for the week and our favorite ones there. But other than that, this has been the Sports Geeks podcast. They play, we talk. Thank you guys for